Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's debate on fintech will make traditional banks obsolete. Each speaker will have 5 minutes for their main argument, 3 minutes for rebuttal, and 2 minutes for conclusion. I'll give a 1 minute warning before your time ends, and I will signal when your time is up. Let's begin with the first speaker from Black Team. Your 5 minutes starts now.
Hello everyone. So I'll be briefing about our team members. My team members are Prachi, Temitayo, Ponti, and Manarth. And we are debating in favor of fintech will make traditional banks obsolete. So the financial world is undergoing its biggest transformation since the invention of online banking. Fintech is not just a side player anymore, and with regulations of Canadian retail payment activities, the RPA's Act, it is legitimate and trusted, and it is rapidly used by people. And the main points to begin with the fintechs are it is very accessible and it is very user friendly. Since we don't have more branches, we tend to invest more on the development side, like developing new websites and all the stuff which goes in developing fintech financial technology companies. Consumers can open an account online. You don't have to go to the branches, or even if you want to transfer any money, it's all done online, which gives you ease of sitting home and providing all and getting all the services for free mostly. So I would like to present a case study. Like, Simple is a well-known financial institution, I would say, and it had around 3 million plus users, which out which which outperforms a traditional bank. Like, you can get this big number of customers easily. Other than that, low costs and efficiency, since banks are burdened with lots of, since banks are outdated with their IT teams, they often reach out to financial technology firms in order to develop few of their technologies to provide it to the customers. And since this generation is of all the Gen Zs, most of the Gen Zs prefer most of the Gen Zs prefer all the online payments, and they tend not to go to branches, and they do all their transactions from their home itself, which makes it convenient to them. Other than that, since it's a Gen Z generation, people tend to do all the payments from home itself, and no one's actually going to the branches. And yeah, I would like to pass on my arguments to Team White.
Hey, Grishma, can you please help to share our presentation? That's okay.
Okay, thank you. We will now hear from the next group for their 5 minutes argument. Your time starts now.
Thank you everyone. Thank you, moderator, and everyone for joining this presentation today. I know my opposing team has shared some strong points, but I'm here to convince you beyond reasonable doubt that fintechs cannot make traditional bank obsolete. Supporting me on this debate are my team members, Ahmed, Grishma, Arun, Bharat, and myself, Olusegun Olusanya. Next slide, please. So let's start with one of the reasons. Next one, please. Okay, perfect. So let's start with regulation and trusts. So banks don't just hold money, they operate under strict rules, provide safety nets. In Canada, we have the OPSFI, we have the CDIC, and in the US, we have the FDIC. These systems are there to protect customers. And we have seen in them in action. Remember in the Silicon Valley Bank collapse in 2023, startups and fintechs panicked because their funds were tied up. Who came to the rescue was the regulatory bodies. The regulators and the traditional banks stepped in where the fintechs could not. That's proof that when things go wrong, fintechs will turn the back on the customers, but the traditional banks and the banking system are the only safeguards that customers have. Next slide, please. So now let's talk, next one. So now let's talk about another reason why the traditional banks would not be obsolete with the invent of fintechs. Let's talk about full service offerings. Fintechs usually stick to one lane. For instance, Simple focuses on investments, PayPal focuses on payments, Chime is focused on digital banking. They are all great at what they do, but they are only specialists in just one field. Banks, on the other hand, are more like a one-stop shop. Take RBC, for example. They handle mortgages, they handle insurance, they handle wealth management, business financing, and even global trade. Simple actually had to shut down its tax filing business in 2022 because it could not sustain it. That is what happens when fintechs try to diversify. However, RBC keeps growing strong across every financial service. So here's the bottom line. Fintechs are innovative, yes, but they are not replacements. They depend on the banks for trust and regulation and for additional service. I'll switch it over to Ahmed to conclude on this.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. You have 2 and 30 seconds left.
Awesome. All right, over to you, Ahmed.
Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me well. And thank you, George, for making our point on the previous two reasoning. I'm going to try to skim through because there's not much time left. I'm going to talk about the third reason why the banks were not going to go obsolete. And the first and foremost for me is the physical presence and the human support. As you know, the customers or the clientele of any bank-owned financial institution is consisted of different age groups and different aspiration and different life stages. So many customers prefer the in-person service, especially in complex financial decision requiring trust and a human understanding and more personalized guidance. I've been in the mortgage arena for the past 25 years, and I know very well that it's very hard for fintech to be able to provide a full A to Z service and to cater to complex financial needs of a client. We see this also in investment. The value of the relationship building with in-person service makes the difference, and people get to follow the source of trust. That could be the mortgage broker or that could be the financial advisor. The role of the branch network and the accessibility that it makes and provides is unreplaceable, guys, especially when we're talking about the support, the trust, the cash management for older generations, small businesses, and those who rely heavily on cash with their daily financial transactions. And despite all the growth that we have witnessed with the fintech, all the stats on a global level shares that 84% of the customers have at least visited a bank or a branch in the past year to open an account or to do a financial service. That's 84%, which is a huge number, and despite all the growth in fintech. More about the limitations of fintech. I see that it cannot replicate the value of reassurance and understanding offered by this face-to-face banking all over the institutions, which people can better have chances to understand the body language, gestures, and the true story behind every customer. I would really recommend that you guys go through the McKinsey report, which talks about the best of both worlds, which actually combines both the world of fintech.
Excuse me, your 5 minutes are complete. You can complete your sentence.
Yes, I would recommend that you go through the McKinsey report, which will provide a lot of details about the merge of the two streamlined banking and fintech. If you allow me for just a few seconds, I will add on the dependence of fintechs on banks, since actually fintech companies depend on the infrastructure provided by the banking system, and they don't have their own infrastructure when it comes to payment processing and lending products as well, and the need for cash to distribute and dispense to customers.
Thank you, all the speakers. Now we will move to the rebuttal stage. You will have 3 minutes. Your time starts now.
Uh, so I would like to share my screen. Okay. I hope my screen is visible. Hello.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
So let's jump to the rebuttal points. Like I'll be defending my opponent's point. So banks are more trustworthy, you say. So in defense of that, I would be like, well, trust is shifting. Gen Z already trusts app like well simple. As you can see, the customer base is rising and rising, which says that it's going to be par to the banks. And since history repeats, Kodak had a history too, and the digital cameras arrived, and stability doesn't save you when consumers move on. So you can clearly see that consumers are moving to the easy access apps like Well Simple is. And other than that, people, since it's the generation of Gen Z, people prefer using apps and staying at home and doing all the transactions from home, like international bank transfers or Interact, all that stuff is done through the help of fintechs, and it is preferred by the generation as well. And it's scaling big. It's scaling big as people, as I said, that it's going to be the next banking stuff, as they also offer insurances, credit card insurances, life insurance. Everything has been offered by Wealth Simple and neobanks. For example, I would like to, like, Venmo and PayPal are those fintechs which offer the same, even though they require a bank details to do all the stuff. Still, it is still all the infrastructure is taken from the fintechs and used by banks in order to do all the transactions,
Excuse me.
digital transactions, to be honest.
You have 1 minute left, so you can start wrapping up. Thank you.
And since Netflix was also Netflix came over it and replaced the Blockbuster, and same as Uber replaced taxis, Spotify replaced CDs, fintechs will replace the banks with their easygoing system, and our generation would help us do that well, because banks are going to be absolute in near future, not anytime soon, but in near future they would. Thank you.
Thank you, Roberto. Now we move to the rebuttal from the other side. You have 3 minutes, starting now.
All right, just to save time, I wouldn't be sharing my screen. You can just look up the face. So just wanted to thank the opposing team for laying out their arguments, and I would like to respectfully rebut every one of them. First, let's start with the accessibility and user experience. Yes, fintech is convenient. World seems simple as indeed growth fast by letting people trade from their phones, but convenience doesn't equal completeness. Younger generation might enjoy seamless app experience, but when it comes to buying a home, managing retirement savings, or securing a business loan, they still have to turn to the bank. So while fintechs may have front and easier, but the backbone of the system will always belong to the banks. Secondly, on lower cost and efficiency. Neo Financial, which is an app, may advertise no fees, but that's because they don't carry the cost of a full service operation. They lean on the CDIC insured partner banks to secure deposits. It is not a level playing field. Neo Financial piggy banks on the very infrastructure that the big banks maintain. Thirdly, let's look at government recognition and regulation. It is true that the Bank of Canada has introduced new rules to bring fintech under regulatory oversight, but this only proves our point that fintechs cannot be left alone. They need to be pulled in the same frameworks that the banks have always operated under. In the near future, you might end up finding that the fintechs will still end up having major infrastructure, building brick and mortars places for customers to be able to do business. Now, finally, on rapid growth, innovation, and specialization, apps like Cole and other fintechs are quick to roll out new features, but speed can come at a cost. Many fintechs burn out or shut down those services when their niche model fails to scale. Wealthsimple dropped their tax filing service in 2022 because it could not sustain it, but banks, in contrast, continue to serve clients through every stage of their financial
Excuse
service.
me, you have 1 minute remaining for your rebuttal.
Okay, so in conclusion, I would just say fintechs are useful. Yes, they bring innovation, fresh ideas, but their very survival depends on the banks, whether for infrastructure, deposits, getting cash from the bank, regulation, or trust. They're extensions of the regular banks and not replacements. The opposing team has showed us how fintechs can shine in specific areas, but those same example also proves that they lean on the traditional banks. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we can move to the conclusion stage. You have 2 minutes starting now. You can start.
Which team you're assigning conclusion to start?
The black team first, and after that, the white team.
Okay.
So I do agree in some extent that banks do offer us partnership deals and all those things. But again, it's like a one-on-one relationship, I would say. Like you can't survive without financial technology firms, and banks can't, and financial technologies firms can't survive without banks. So it's a one-on-one deal. Other than that, I still think that financial technology has an upper hand compared to banks because they are developing, and all the developments which are done by fintechs are taken by banks in order to provide it to the larger mass. Because as I agree with one of your team members that yes, banks do have a larger customer base, and that would help us develop our financial technology, and we do get, and many financial technology firms like CGI and
I'm
other companies,
sorry, you have 1 minute left for your conclusion. Continue, please.
and we do get and we do get orders from big banks, which in for which we develop projects like in financial technology. CGI is one of them which develops architecture for RBC or Scotia Bank. So all that things, considering all that things, financial technology seems to be a more replacing companies. And yeah, that's what I would like to conclude on to the white team.
Thank you. Appreciate your points, and I see where you're coming from. However, based on our research and our wide team, we truly believe that while the fintech continues to reshape in the world of financial services with the speed, innovation, and customer-centric solutions, the traditional banks yet remain indispensable pillars of the global financial system. The deep regulatory integration and the trust-based relationship built through the banks and their ability to manage the complex financial operations give them a resilience that the fintech alone cannot replicate. And honestly speaking, as we see it and as been reflected on our beliefs, rather than being replaced, the banks are evolving and adopting fintech tools, forming strategic partnerships, and redefining their roles within the economy with a digital economy based approach. The future is not about banks against fintech. We believe that it's about collaboration, coexistence, and transformation between the banks and the fintech companies. And that's the new world we're going to see in the next many decades to go. Thank you.
Thank you all for thank you for both team, and it is finished.